This is Michael Woodward, and this is Season 2, Episode 6 of the Jumble Think podcast.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Jumble Think podcast. We explore the ideas and dreams behind some of the leading entrepreneurs from around the world. Along the way, we will give you some tips and ideas of how you can chase your own big ideas and dreams and change the world around you. Today's show is brought to you by FreshBooks.com. Get a free 30-day trial at www.gofreshbooks.com/jumblethink. That's www.gofreshbooks.com/jumblethink. Our guest on today's episode is Adam Schaeuble. More about Adam in a moment. Our guest on Thursday's episode is Doug Sandler. Here's a little taste of what's in store this Thursday.
My name is Doug Sandler. I own a company. I'm the founder of a company called Turnkey Podcast, and I am the business development lead generation specialist within my company because they don't let me do anything else over here. What we do is we are in the business of podcast production. So not only do we edit and produce podcasts, but we help podcasters or soon-to-be podcasters go through the strategy session and concept to launch of creating a podcast based upon some ideas that they have in their head. The idea really came from to start Turnkey Podcast from so many people because we've had a podcast called the Nice Guys on Business Podcast for just about 3 years now. And the concept came around as a result of enough people saying to us, how have you grown an audience this big? How are you able to make money from your show? How are you able to land these huge guests? And we said, this is really something that we thought was not a unique thing. We really thought, my co-host and I, my partner and I, thought this was something that everybody could do, but we found out that that's not the case. So we've packaged this all up together, and we're teaching other people how to do the same thing that we've done: grow a big audience, make money from your podcast, which most people are not doing at this point, and to get those big guests as well. A lot of entrepreneurs cannot, and high achievers can't figure out the exact vehicle. They have a great idea, but they can't figure out the vehicle to use to get where they want to go financially. And podcasting is a great space to do that. This entire new media space is a great way to do it. There are many nails out there. Our hammer just happens to hit the podcasting nail, and that's been a home run for us.
Make sure to come back for this Thursday's episode with Doug Sandler. Now let's jump into today's episode with Adam Schaeuble. Hey there, welcome to the Jumble Think podcast. My name is Michael Woodward, and I am your host. I'm super excited about today's guest. His name is Adam Schaeuble. Let's take a moment to learn a little bit more about Adam.
My name is Adam Schaeuble, a.k.a. the previously heavy dude, the PhD, and my business is transformationcoach.me, and my role is the head transformation specialist. So what I do is I help people reclaim their lifestyle. I call it rehabilitation of lifestyle because that's what I did. And that's what our business focuses on through health, nutrition, online exercise programs, and coaching and accountability programs. I knew that this is what I was meant to do with my life after I had lost 100 pounds myself and felt the life-changing effect of that. So one story that really brings me that feeling of significance and purpose is when I tell the story of a client of mine named Lisa. And Lisa, when she first started my program, she had to work out by sitting in a chair. She couldn't get up and off the ground by herself. She couldn't get up and down by herself. And she needed a lot of assistance. And I remember her first workout, she said she cried the entire time. But now she's lost over 150 pounds. And just seeing that spark in her eye and hearing that spark in her voice when she just, you can tell that she now has hope and she believes that she can be this healthy person. That is why I do what I do. And that is a story that just brings it home for me. I feel like what I do really matters because we're giving people that hope. I know through my own journey, through my own weight loss journey, what a significant difference that made when I reclaimed my health. And I feel like everybody deserves that shot. They deserve that chance to feel healthy, to feel, secure in who they are, to feel confident in who they are, whether it's just being able to fit into clothes that you buy at a regular store or going on an airplane and not having to get the extender on your seatbelt. So just feeling like a normal person, but we're all extraordinary in our own ways, and really celebrating that as well through our own health experience. One challenge I'm looking to currently overcome with my own business is just growing my audience. That's always something that's out there. I think for any entrepreneur is, how do we connect with the right people and connect with more of the right people? So exploring different avenues, it's almost like information overwhelm. There's so many great things out there, whether it's social media or, exploring email opt-ins and free courses and things like that. What's the right thing to do and the right time to be doing that? That's something that I think will be a challenge for any entrepreneur, and just kind of dialing in and finding the way to make that next best move. So my next big goal that I'm focusing on right now for my business is our £1 million mission. The goal is to produce over a million pounds of inspiration and results through my podcast. So we're really focusing on growing the £1 Million Mission podcast and that brand, and getting that message out there, giving people hope. And I know that if I can make a £1 million impact, the financial issues, all that stuff will take care of itself. So we're focusing on impact first.
We'll be right back with our interview with Adam Schaeuble. Before we jump into today's interview, I want to make sure you know where you can find Jumblethink. You can find us in all of your favorite places to listen to podcasts. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes. You can also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, swing on over to jumblethink.com/podcast to find links to many of the best places to connect. Don't forget to find us on your favorite places to listen to podcasts, and click that subscribe or follow button so you'll never miss another great episode of the Jumblethink podcast. Now let's jump into today's interview with Adam Schaeuble. Adam, I am so excited to have you on the podcast. Thanks for taking time out to share a little bit of your story and insights into such an important topic.
Thank you, Michael. I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of the show. Congrats to you on 100 episodes, by the way, being a fellow podcaster. That's something we got a high five about, man.
Oh, thanks. It is overwhelming, the amount of love that we've received at episode 100. And it's been a lot of fun meeting incredible people like you and getting to know them. So thanks for that.
Yeah, man.
You have an amazing story. And I think the foundation of where we're going in this interview really needs to start with your story. How in the world did you go from, this 327 pounds to being a coach to helping others find their true self through becoming healthy?
Yeah, it's interesting because my life story, my health story, my business story are all interlocked. They're the kind of one main thread that goes through all three of those things. So almost 10 years ago now, I can't believe it's almost been 10 years.
Wow.
I found myself weighing 327 pounds. And I remember the precise moment when I decided to change. And I think that's kind of unique because not everybody remembers, like, this was the exact moment. Because I remember I was standing at the grocery store. And I not only was I overweight and unhealthy, I was unhappy with, my relationships. I was $40,000 in credit card debt. So I remember holding my credit card in my hand, stressing about whether I was going to be able to pay for the groceries, if I had enough room on that credit card that I already almost maxed out several times, I'm sure. And thinking, what the heck do I do now? And I went home, and one of my friends had they'd let me borrow a DVD several weeks ago, back in the days of DVD. That's how long ago this was, 10 years.
Wow.
The yesteryear of DVD. But it was a DVD called The Secret. And The Secret is all about the law of attraction and personal development. And I had not been introduced to anything like that at all, ever. And it had been collecting dust. And, I sat there, I'm like, you know what? I don't know what this is about, but I feel like I should watch this tonight. And I sat down that night and I watched it. And like I said, it's all about the law of attraction. It's all about bringing things into your life, focusing on the right things so that those sorts of things start showing up. And I was just on fire, and I watched it again. On fire, watched it again. So I watched it 3 times in a row.
Wow.
And I sat there just on fire. I'm like, I need more of this. The way my life was going. And one of the quotes inside the movie was that for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. And that just lit me up. And I was like, yes, this is what I need. So that night I sat down and I did something kind of crazy. I mapped out the next 5 years of my life.
Wow.
So I set the date, July 12th, 2012. That was the date that I was going to have a completely different life. And so I set goals for my health. I set goals for my business, my relationships, everything, finances. And I created what I now refer to as my lifestyle rehabilitation statement. So this was something I wrote it out, exactly what I wanted to happen in the present tense, as if it had already happened. And I put feeling behind it. So it wasn't just like, I want to lose 50 pounds. It was, I want to lose 50 pounds because I want to feel energized and confident and secure in who I am. So adding that feeling behind it changed everything. It's not just a goal anymore. It's a mission. That's what I'm all about. So I took this lifestyle rehabilitation statement and I did something kind of unique, I guess. I read it out loud and felt it every morning and every night. Every morning I would do it to focus myself. I'd read it to gain clarity on just, I wanted to make sure that I was aware if I'm standing in a hallway, I need to turn the light switch on so I can see open doors. If the light switch is off, if we're not even thinking about our goals, we don't know what doors are open in front of us. And there may be several. So I did that every morning to focus and gain clarity. Every evening I would read it out loud again, and I would hold myself accountable to that. What did I do today to just move the needle just a little bit in the right direction? It didn't have to be, let's solve all problems in one day. It's just, did I do one thing? Did I say one thing to one person that progressed a relationship? Did I send an email? Anything? Did I reduce my debt a little bit? So I would hold myself accountable at the end of the day. So the funny thing happens when you focus like this, and I did this. Yeah. I did this every single day for 5 years, Michael, for 5 years in a row, never fail. I accomplished every single goal. I was 7 days late in opening my fitness facility.
Oh, wow.
So 7 days late. And I never told anyone what I was doing until I opened my fitness facility. I told the whole story and I had my clients there just weeping. They were crying. And so along that 5-year path, I lost 100 pounds. I had built a fitness company. So once I lost my 100 pounds, I started helping other people do the same thing in my hometown. All right. And in that 5-year span, I showed my hometown clients, as I built the business, what I did. And my hometown lost 35,000 pounds in that 5-year span. So, I mean, that's just, I was happy when we hit 1,000 pounds. I made hats and shirts and we were celebrating, I thought that was like the pinnacle of my career, like 1,000 pounds doesn't get any better. And we did 35,000 pounds in that 5-year span of me reading my goals every morning, every night, every morning, every night. So we made an impact on my local community. I'm in the Midwest. Like the Midwest is not the hotbed of health. We are the bread basket. Right. We are the bread basket for a reason. Lots of carbs. And a lot of people, across the country need this message, but especially in my neck of the woods, my area here, people tend to be very unhealthy. You go to the grocery store and there are morbidly obese people everywhere you go, and it's something that I felt moved to, make an impact on. So helping my hometown like I did made me feel really good. It just kind of took me to that next level. So my team and I, at this point I've got a team, I'm married, I have a child, like everything is going so well. I placed that order and it delivered for me, that consistency with my goal focus. But we decided to take things to that next level. And the next level is what we call the $1 million mission. So I've been podcasting, I started off 1 show a week and I've ramped up to 3 shows a week now, but we're going, we're trying to inspire 1 million pounds of results across the globe through the podcast. And I basically just teach people what I've learned, what has helped my hometown. And now we bring that out in the show. I do, free courses. I do some paid stuff. Of course, this is how I earn a living, but it's all about inspiring. And I know that if I can help that many people, all the other stuff is going to take care of itself. So, I once I hit my 5-year goal plan, I reformulated. Now I do one every single year because things are just going so rapidly. I can't fathom the next 5 years. I got to handle this 1 year at a time now, but I still do it every morning, every night. And that's kind of the foundation of what has basically just completely changed my life, going from, like you said, that 327 pound person to losing 100 pounds, to helping my hometown lose 35,000 pounds, and then now the $1 million mission.
That's so cool. And we're going to dive into more of that in a second, but something struck me as you were sharing. You hear the 327 pounds, you hear the 35,000 pounds, you hear about the £1,000,000 mission, but it's more than just a weight issue. It's an issue of a holistic lifestyle. You talked about, the debt issue. You talked about the relationship issues. You talked about, the weight issue, of course, but this is much bigger than just losing weight. This is about mind shift, changing mindsets and changing people's outlooks and perspective on life. In your journey, when you found that you started correcting, one of these micro areas, whether it's weight or finances or relationships, how did you see the correlation of this holistic picture start to come into being? How did the one thing affect the other things and the other things affect the one thing?
Well, personal momentum is huge. Personal momentum is what it's all about. And like you said, you start, health tends to be somewhat of a catapult where things really start to build off that. You reclaim your health, you have more energy, you are sleeping better, you have more confidence, and you cover those things, energy, sleep, and confidence. You're going to go out there and start talking to people, and you may meet somebody, you may meet a connection that helps you with your business. You may meet a connection, a love interest. You may decide to go out and try something that you never thought of trying before. So you see it drip into other areas, and then just keeps building and building. And it just lights me up to see somebody that, I love our transformation pictures because you can see it in their eyes. And if you guys, check out any of this, if you go on my website, I've got a big slideshow. You can check out all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's super cool. I've checked it out, and the pictures are, really fun to see how people have changed, and you can see that the inner light has changed as much as the outer shell.
Yeah, and you see it in their eyes. You look at that person's eyes on the left, and they're sad, and they seem kind of hopeless. And you see the person on the right, and you just see that they're lit up, they're on fire, and you see the confidence in the way they smile and the way that they look, and it's just so cool. And that's what fuels my fire. To keep going and see how many people I can help and make a positive impact with.
That's super cool. And, I think one of the things that is so important is the importance of narrative, importance of story, and how you're telling us you were launching the gym and the workout program that you were doing, and you're telling your story and other people resonated with it. They were in tears and everything like that. How is narrative and the story that you tell significant in motivating other people that have lost the hope on their journey, whether it's weight, whether it's other issues that they're having? How do those stories begin to light the fire that other people can find hope?
Yeah, it's huge. I think the fact that I can lead by example, because there are so many great fitness people out there, but I've got a little bit of a unique story where I've been there, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing if somebody, has been healthy their entire life and they've never experienced obesity or anything like that, but I have, and that's something I consider to be an advantage for me. It's because it's unique, and I can say, hey, Michael, let's say that you are somebody that needs to lose 100 pounds because of getting healthy, like reclaiming your health, or your quality of life is going to suffer. So, I'd sit you down and be like, hey, I know what you're going through. I know what it's like to not be able to eat one cookie. You eat the whole bag. I still suffer with that. And it's not like I'm perfect now, but I can lock arms with somebody and say, hey, I've been there too. And the good news is, it took me a lot of years and a lot of hard work to figure this out. But now, I've had over 1,500 people come through my program. I've done it, and we can shorten the learning curve. I want to give you some clarity. I want to help you just feel that hope that you can actually do this. And I think it helps when people realize that, anything that they've been through, I've most likely been through, or one of my coaches has been through. Because the other thing that's unique about my company is that every coach, anybody that I put in a leadership position, has been through the program. They've lost weight. They've lost 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 150 pounds. So it's consistent across the board, the way that we coach.
That's cool. Yeah.
So that's something that people resonate and know that, okay, my coach has been there too. So they're more likely to be coachable. That's a huge part of the problem in fitness, is people will just invest in a program and they never really do it. They never really submit their will to that. They never submit their ego to that. You know, they just kind of pay for it. Oh, that didn't work. I kind of tried it and it didn't work. So we really ask them to give up control. Let me have control. I will show you a way. And it's, you know, it's hard work. It's clean eating. It's being consistent. It's not the latest biohack. I mean, you're not going to put on your blue blocker glasses and lose, lose 50 pounds by blocking blue light into your eyeballs. You know, it's like, I need you to eat clean consistently. I need you to sweat consistently. I need you to be honest with me and do that all consistently over time, and magical things can happen. But I think, like I said, people just understand. It's just different when somebody has been there and we can say, you know what, my friend, we can do this because I've done it. You can do it.
Well, and I think you mentioned the word time there, and I love the thought of your story looking back. And you said, okay, I started, and then 5 years later, I'm starting my gym and all of that kind of thing. So often we're in an instant gratification society. You can buy something on Amazon and it's there sometimes same day, most of the time the next day. You can watch the TV shows you want when you want it on Netflix or Hulu. You can go and eat out and have food ready and to your table right away. All of these things are immediate results, immediate action, immediate reward or penalty, depending on your choice. How can people really start to change that mindset to go, I'm making the long-term commitment. This isn't about today and tomorrow, although those are important. This is about a month from now and 2 months from now, and how I'll feel in a year from now, and how I'll look, and how my mindset will be changed as I go through this process. What do people really need to know about quick fix diets versus longevity of making a lifestyle out of these choices?
Yeah, so I've got a perfect example for you here, Michael. I do an exercise. I've got an online academy, and we do an exercise every year and then every quarter within the year that I call the goal achieving process. And this is kind of a similar process that I used when I set my initial goals for my 5-year plan. So
yeah,
I have them look a year in advance. So we're doing this now that we're at the beginning of a year. And I say, so we set goals in different areas, but usually there's some sort of a weight loss goal because that's kind of what I specialize in. And that's just part of the deal. So for example, at our last workshop, I had somebody that set a goal of losing 60 pounds for the year. And I was like, okay, make sure this is something that you would be thrilled with. Like, you would be thrilled to lose 60 pounds, right? Yes. And they're like, I'd feel great. I'd feel confident. So we were really zoned in on how they would feel and that it's worth the effort. And they would be thrilled. 60 pounds was the magic number. So okay, cool. Let's divide that into quarters. So each quarter, we want to drop 15 pounds. That's kind of our goal pace that we're going to try to lose weight at each quarter. And they're like, cool. Then I'm like, okay, each month, that's 5 pounds a month. And we're just doing simple math here. And then we divide it down into the week. And I'm like, all right, so that's just a little bit over a pound a week. And they go, well, that doesn't seem like very much.
Right.
So that's the problem that we have, is that, the same number, they were thrilled with 60 pounds. That was the ultimate goal. But the same thing paced out at just a little bit over a pound a week. They're like, doesn't seem too exciting. That doesn't sound like very much. And that's the game that we play with ourselves, is just what you explained about, like, that instant gratification. Like, they want to lose 60 pounds and they would tell themselves that they want to lose 60 pounds in the year and they'd be thrilled with that, but they really want to lose it in one day. And that's the mindset. So we have to get over that and look at the big picture and say, yes, I would absolutely be thrilled, because that same person probably, if I don't have my hands on them, a lot of people would set that goal for 60 pounds and, kind of lose 10 pounds, regain it. They would lose 60 pounds, but they kind of regain it 3 times during the year also. So it's back and forth. Sure. So instead, and we get in our own head about not being there yet. That's something that is so critical with the body transformation area, that with weight loss. It's, I'm not at 20 pounds yet. Or it's even worse when we start comparing ourselves to our friends. Like, our friend has lost 20 pounds. I've only lost 15. Why are they doing better than me? Why am I failing? And instead of celebrating, like, dude, you've lost 15 pounds. That's tremendous. That is tremendous. In my gym, I've got one of those 5-pound replicas of what 5 pounds of fat looks like. And I'm like, here, hold this. You've lost 3 of these. Are you still upset about that? And they're like, oh, I guess not. So we have to, I guess, to kind of hone in on the question that you asked, we have to really focus on that long-term number. We can do the simple math and take action on that pace and just realize that that's just a data point. And the more important thing is the process goals. Tony Robbins talks about setting process goals that are in line with our bigger goals, where,
Right.
What is the thing or things that you can do on a regular basis that will lead you towards that result that you're wanting to get. So we know that showing up to exercise regularly would be one of those things. So setting a process goal of, I'm going to work out 3 days a week without fail. No matter what, I'll find a way to work out for 3 days per week. So 3 hours a week. And that would be a process goal that will lead towards our losing a little bit over a pound a week goal, which leads to our 60-pound yearly goal. So setting those micro process goals will help a lot. And that gives us something to focus on. We get that instant gratification because we can check those check boxes. Yep, I did Monday, boom. Wednesday, cool. Hit my workout Friday, cool. Hit my goal. And then we can do our weigh-ins and collect our data points from there. And then, so setting the process goals, but also, like I said, turning around at each checkpoint and celebrate the progress. You want to measure backwards. There's someone that I interviewed on my show named Dan Sullivan. He talks about this process called the gap and the gain.
Okay.
And he says that you always want to measure backwards. You want to measure the gain. So the results that you've had so far. You don't want to measure yourself against your goal. That's when you fall into the gap of I'm not there yet, because we never really get there because we always set new goals. Like we hit that 60-pound mark and we celebrate it for like a second, even though we've been focused on it for a whole year. Like, okay, did it. Next year's goal is 80 pounds. And, we have to celebrate that. People, if there's one thing that I would ask people to do, one change I would ask them to make, is just be proud of yourself. Be proud of what you've accomplished and let that soak in for a minute. Don't let your guard down and don't, give up on your diet for a week to celebrate or anything like that. But just take a minute and think about what you've accomplished, all the hard work you've put into that, and be proud. Be proud of that, my friends. That's important.
It's all about having a good metric for measuring success. It's about understanding the perspective in which you need to see your successes and victories. Because if you put it against somebody else's successes, if you put it against an unattained goal, you're never going to have that drive, that momentum to keep on pushing forward, because you're subjecting yourself to a false sense of success that isn't a good measuring stick.
100% agreed. I talk a lot about the difference between motivation and inspiration. And I feel like that's in line with what we're talking about here, where, when people are motivated, that's the situation where they feel like they have to do something. When they're inspired, they want to do it. And that's a huge difference.
Well, and that, it seems like a subtle thing. And I get what you're saying about it's a massive shift in moving from motivation to inspiration. We talked about this with one of our previous guests in season 1, where we talked about motivation versus drive. And how can somebody really make that change of moving to an inspiration and finding inspiration that drives them forward instead of trying to be motivated and force the movement? Like, how can somebody really shift that?
Right. I believe it starts with your why behind your goal. Like losing 60 pounds, that's a good goal, but what's the why behind that? And I heard Dean Graziosi speak about an exercise that he uses called the 7 levels of why. And he asked himself why 7 levels deep. So he just keeps asking the question, why? So why do you want to lose 60 pounds? Well, my doctor says I need to lose 60 pounds. Well, why? Because my cholesterol's out of whack. Well, why do we need to get that into check? Well, because so I don't have a heart attack. All right. Well, why is that important? Well, I want to walk my daughter down the aisle. Then the emotion starts to come out, and that is where the inspiration is, my friend. That's the real light switch that we need to flip to go from being motivated to being inspired. And this is a huge issue with people that have been through the ringer a few times with weight loss. And there are just millions of people out there that are in that situation where they lose weight. Maybe that first, they've lost 50 pounds first time through, they do a program and they're inspired. They really are fired up about this. But then something happens, life happens, and they lose it and they regain all their weight. Then it shifts to being motivated because they feel like they have to re-lose the weight. And that's the pressure, that's the motivator. And that is not going to do the trick. You have to get inspired and hit the reset button, and you aren't re-losing weight. You learned how to lose 50 pounds. That's a tool that we can put in our transformation toolbox. That's a formula. But we also learned about a danger zone that caused us to regain it all back. We can take that as a positive and still think, okay, I learned something there. I learned what I don't want to happen this next time. Then we have to figure out our why behind our new goal, and then work in it, and just be inspired for that. Not like you're trying to redo something, because that won't work.
What are some good questions people can ask to find that inspiration? Because I think so often we get trapped in our own head that we get lost in that conversation, and we're like, I don't know. I don't know why. And I don't know how to find why. But what are some of the questions that they can be asking to finding their why and start getting on the right projection of moving through inspiration instead of trying to self-motivate?
I think a lot of it has to do with like the limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves and how we can overcome that. So if somebody can sit down and ask themselves the question, what limiting beliefs are holding me back? Like, what am I telling myself? Or what if I told myself maybe for years or my whole life that is holding me back? Like, I've got somebody that I'm working with now that is a man, and his limiting belief is I can't cook. So I can never follow a diet consistently, and I can't, I just can't do it. And then, my wife cooks for me, and she's not on board with the plan that I'm on. So she only makes me chicken and broccoli, and that's it. And I get sick of it. And it's just like this whole thing. And I'm like, hey man, how about we eliminate this limiting belief and ask ourselves the question, can I learn how to cook? And can I try to learn how to cook? Can I at least try? And I'm like, we can throw something into a crock pot and hit the on button. We can do this, my man. And, so we're building that momentum. But I think it's important to examine those limiting beliefs, whether it's in business or with our health or our relationships. And like, what is the story that I'm consistently telling myself that leads to this, this place that I tend to end up at where I'm not happy? And that type of conversation, if we can let go of the ego a little bit, that'll open up some doors that we can look into and say, hey, this may be something that I could kind of dig in with and make a little bit of progress with.
That's good. That's really good. You mentioned at the top of the interview, you created your own lifestyle rehabilitation statement. And I know one of the things that you're a real advocate for is something that you've created called the lifestyle audit process. And it sounds like the two probably go hand in hand. Can you tell us about the process of going through the lifestyle audit process and what that can do for an individual?
Yes. So one of the things that I love to do is paint a picture of the transformation process and what it looks like. Because I feel like people struggle with, we are willing to take action and we will work hard and we will act, but we just don't know where we are in the process. Like, I'm acting, I'm really trying, I'm doing a lot of workouts, I'm doing a lot of healthy eating, but I don't know if I'm at where I'm supposed to be. Like, people ask that all the time. They're like, am I doing good? Am I at the right pace? Am I doing this? Am I where I should be? People ask me that all the time. So I try to paint a picture and help people visualize the process. So I create things like the lifestyle audit and I name them so that people have kind of a roadmap and they can say, oh, okay, this makes sense. I am going through a normal thing, and here's what I need to do to go to the next phase or the next stage of the process. So that's something that's kind of unique to me, but man, I love to do it. I feel like I am at my best when I'm creating one of these mental maps or one of these processes for people to follow. So the lifestyle audit, we'll put a link to you guys can download this for free. And I've done an episode on this too. So we'll put that, I'll make sure I get that to you for the notes. But
for sure.
The lifestyle audit, I've got to warn you, it will make you cry most likely.
Okay. All right.
Because it's kind of like doing your taxes, that makes you cry also. But for
very different reasons, but yes.
So I have this just simple sheet. It's like 3 pages long and it's a PDF, and you fill it out and you start by looking at how you spend your time right now. We got everybody has the same 24 hours. And I have you map out the allotment that you spend, personal development time, family time, sleep, work, health, fitness, exercise, food prep, anything. You get to I give you some example categories, but you get to define whatever categories that you want to define. and you just divide up your 24 hours. What does that look like right now? And when people see, if you have a family like I do, I've got a wife and two young kids, and you see the amount of time you spend with them versus what you spend at work, it'll bring the tears usually. And it's a wake up call. You're like, wow, I spend 10 or 20 times the amount of time at work versus with my kids, and it really is a wake up call. And I meant it to be that for people, because we need that eye opener. So that's the first step. Then we jump to the ideal scenario. So we jump to, what would ideal look like? And I tell people not to hold back. Like, if you only want to work 30 hours a week, then put that. Let's just run some numbers. There's no, rule that says we have to be committed to this. We can change it, write it in pencil. It's all good. And so put the ideal, don't hold back, and write the life that you would like to see as far as your hour breakdown. All right. So how much time do you want to spend with your kids? How much personal time? How much you time? That's something else that people are so reluctant to give themselves. Like, they feel like if they have kids and a spouse, like if they aren't giving all their spare time to them, then they're doing something wrong. But we need some solo time to invest in our own self, for our own personal development, for reading, just for meditation or whatever. So people are reluctant to give themselves some you time, some me time. So I always really make them, kind of hammer that thought a little bit and commit to that. So what does your you time look like? What does your family time look like? Your work, your fitness, and what time allotment, how does that breakdown work for you? So that's the ideal. So we've got where we're at now. We've got the ideal. And then I have people just set a 10% improvement goal in 3 of the areas. So we say in the next 28 days, we want to make a 10% improvement in 3 of these areas. So you pick, and I always say, like, let's start with something simple. Like, let's not go after the biggest, hardest one first. Let's just go for 3, like sleep. We know it's very easy to run the math and figure out a 10% improvement for sleep. We just add 10%, and we know that, I've got to, subtract time where I could have to ask somebody to carpool and take my kid to gymnastics practice so that I can find that extra half an hour or whatever, or ask my spouse to put the kids to bed this one night so that I can gain my extra 10% of sleep. It's just, it involves this chain reaction where we just make that commitment first, and then everything else starts to kind of shift in the right direction, and we get more efficient. That's the real kind of Trojan horse scenario that I've put into this. Is like, I put it in there and like, oh, I've got to get more efficient. I can't just dawdle around the house and not be thinking about what I'm doing. Like, I need to be on my game throughout the day and make sure that I'm being effective with my time, being efficient with my time. And that's where the magic starts to build. And we work people through these 10% improvements, where we're not saying, let's solve this all in one day. It's like, let's just make that small shift and build momentum. We talked about this before, like building that momentum, getting it going. It's so important. And we find that. And then people are like, I did 10% more sleep, or I did 10% more you time. I was on a call with a client earlier this week. I'm like, just wake up 5 minutes earlier. And that first 5 minutes is for you. You do whatever you want. If it's meditation, journaling, reading, watching TV, just sitting in silence to let the noise just kind of die down, that's for you. And you take that for you. And she was just like, that's amazing. I can totally wake up 5 minutes earlier. And we build from there. I'm like, 2 months down the road, you might have 15 minutes or 30 minutes for yourself at the beginning of the day. And, don't be afraid to give yourself some of that time and really go for it and just try it out, and let's see what happens.
I think that's really, really good. You've been on an entrepreneurial journey since a young age, age of 8. You've been doing entrepreneurial endeavors. One of the things that sticks out about you is that you're on a mission through entrepreneurship to bring change to people, to bring hope to people, to bring a movement to what matters to you, this £1,000,000 milestone that you're working towards. How can we as entrepreneurs really approach business and start seeing the larger picture of, we're not just creating a business, we're not just creating revenue, but the impact that we have is greater, or it should be?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the word impact. That's the thing where, I'm a former athlete. I'm in Indiana, so basketball. I grew up playing basketball, so I have that I have that competitive desire that's just ingrained. It's hardwired into my system, and we have to be guarded of that. I think we all have a little bit of that, but people who grow up in a competitive environment, maybe you just have a lot of siblings, and you guys were competitive growing up. It can be anything like that, but we have to guard ourselves of that competitiveness. Sometimes we always think about winning, like I got to win. I got to beat that other business or that other person. And we forget about our mission, and we forget about the people we're trying to help. So when I first launched, this is another interesting story. When I first launched my boot camp program here locally, I actually caught people there were a couple other businesses, and I caught another local business that was paying for some spies to come into my business and find out what we were doing and relay the information back to them. So they were so focused on winning and putting me out of business and figuring out what I was doing, that the funny thing is those spies that they sent over openly admitted it to us and stayed on with us as clients, because they're like, you're doing it right. And we feel terrible. And this is so much better than what we were getting at that other place. So we can't screw ourselves up by, we got to know our numbers. We got to, hit growth, and we got to pay the bills, but don't lose sight of the mission, and don't lose sight of the people that we're actually trying to help, or that learning curve that we're trying to shorten for somebody, or, whatever our purpose is. Like, if we can do that, like I said, if I can help people lose 1 million pounds, I know that the rest will take care of itself. So I throw all my energy into that. And honestly, I'm almost too far the other direction. Like, I have no idea what any of my competitors charge. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know any of that. I don't go on their websites. I don't know anything about it, which is probably not the right advice, but I know how competitive I am, and that it could really throw me for a loop. Like, it could really mess me up. So I prefer to give everything I've got to the people I'm trying to help. And I just kind of keep laser focused. And I know if I'm making a difference for those people, that, they're going to stick with me. And people come to me a lot of times as a last stop. They've tried a lot of stuff, and they hear about me, and they're like, I hear that you're able to help people figure this out that have struggled a lot.
Right.
And they are just looking for hope. So I want to give that to them. And I know if I can help them, lose weight, reclaim their lifestyle, reclaim their health, that they're going to, find a home with my community and my programs and everything that I do. So that's where I focus at.
That's really, really cool. You've got some great resources. You've got your podcast. You've got the 1 million pounds mission that you're on. How can people find and connect with you?
Yeah, my main website is transformationcoach.me, and that's the handle I use on all my socials. So Instagram, I love Instagram. I'd love to connect with you guys on Instagram. So check out transformationcoach.me there. Same thing with Facebook. I go live all the time, so be warned that watch those notifications, because if you want to get me live, I can pretty much satisfy those daily live casting needs. But the 1 Million Pound Mission podcast, that's kind of the tip of the spear of my message and my information. And that's a great way for people to just, learn about how I coach people, because it is different. It's unique. My story's a little bit different and unique. So I encourage people to check that out. Subscribe on iTunes or Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere you listen to the podcast. And that's the main thing. So on the website, though, on transformationcoach.me, I've got something special that I wanted to give to just all the jumbo thinkers out there, just this audience here. I've got a free 2-week, what I call my Hello Abs starter course. Okay. So with that, I'm doing 2 weeks of follow along videos. It's great for anybody of any exercise level. So you guys can check that out. Follow along videos. Now, the cool thing about my videos, all of the videos, I don't hire fitness professionals. I'm not in there leading, in my spandex outfit or anything like that, although that would be awesome. I have my clients. So for example, I think it's day 3 of the Hello Abs starter course. You're going to meet Lisa. She's lost 150 pounds. She's the woman that had to work out from a chair when she first started. Now she's one of my fitness models leading the workout. So if she can do it, you can do it. So I add that extra level of inspiration with any of the stuff that I do. But I give a free, I do a done for you meal plan. Just click on it and you get the recipe. You got I give you the same exact meal plan that I use to lose 100 pounds. So it's all free in there. And we call it the Hello Abs Starter Course. It's kind of a funny name. I add humor to anything that I do. It's kind of my coaching style. But yeah, my goal is to make your abs so they're like, hello abs, nice to meet you. So that's the best way to connect with me and stay connected to the story. And I've got a pretty rowdy Facebook group, I guess is one more thing. If you guys check out defeatthecheat.com, it's a super supportive place where any nutrition style, any fitness style, everything is welcome. I just want to make sure that we support you so that you can stick to the plan that you've put out there for yourself. So defeatthecheat.com, that's another way to connect.
Cool deal. We'll be right back with Adam Schaeuble and our rapid fire questions. For you, the listener of the Jumblethink podcast, FreshBooks is offering a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to try out their services. FreshBooks is the easy-to-use invoicing software designed to help freelancers, small business owners, and entrepreneurs to get organized, save time, invoicing, and get paid faster. FreshBooks is built to support the needs of growing businesses just like yours. On average, customers double their revenue in 24 months. FreshBooks can also help you spend less time on the boring tasks like paperwork, invoicing, and reconciling your expenses, and freeing you up so you can spend your time on the parts of the business you love. To learn more about FreshBooks or to start your free 30-day trial, just go to www.gofreshbooks.com/jumblethink. That's www.gofreshbooks.com/jumblethink. Now let's jump into the rapid fire questions with Adam Schaeuble. We're back with Adam Schaeuble. Adam, you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Let's go, Michael.
Okay, question number 1. What is one tip you'd give someone with a big idea and dream and they don't know where to start?
Just take action. You need to find somebody that has done what you have done and look at their recipe and take one simple action step and do it within the next 24 hours.
What's one change you'd like to see in the world?
I'd like to see people own their situation, accept responsibility, and not project the negativity onto other people that they're experiencing in their life.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be that wild man from Bloomington, Indiana, that believed in himself and helped create 1 million pounds of results across the world.
Where do you find inspiration?
I'm inspired by my children. It's something that when you become a parent, you just have that responsibility built in, and they add that fire to my action every single day. I get up out of bed and I'm ready to lead by example for them.
What is one book you think every dreamer or entrepreneur should read, and why?
I love The One Thing by Gary Keller. I feel like entrepreneurs, we have lots of ideas. We want to go in 1 million different directions all at the same time. And this book helps you focus on what is the one thing that if you accomplish that, it would make the most impact on your life.
What is one tool that is significant for the success of your business?
With me, it's Facebook Live. I feel like you got to get out there and go live because people, there are so many messages out there. You want to introduce people to you, raw, unedited, unfiltered, bad hair day, whatever, real personality, and go live. So if you've never gone live, I want you to try that out.
What is one habit you find helpful in your life as an entrepreneur?
Mine is my lifestyle rehabilitation statement. I do that every year. I read it every morning. I read it every night. And consistency with that is the magic recipe for me.
How do you start and finish your day?
I start my day by doing 10 minutes of meditation. So every single day, I use the Headspace app and I meditate. I do a guided meditation for 10 minutes. The very last thing that I do at the end of the day is I keep a journal and I do some reflection on the day on top of reading my goals and all that. I end the day by reflecting into my journal and kind of planning out the next day.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would you be doing?
This is an interesting question. I feel like I'm a coach at heart.
Okay.
So I feel like I would be some sort of a teacher, like an elementary school teacher. I love working with kids. I love helping people. So I feel like I would be coaching or teaching in some way, shape, or form for sure.
What is one dream you're still wanting to fulfill in your own life?
One dream that I am really dedicated to is, of course, helping as many people as possible. Really, I really want to achieve that £1 million impact. And we're a closer goal that is kind of bringing it home is we're actually discovering a way to track this as accurately as possible, where people can come on and donate their weight to the £1 million mission and enter the data so that we can actually track this. Because a lot of people set goals. They're like, oh, I want to help 1 million people. I'm like, well, how do we really know we did 1 million people? Like, I want to know. So the goal is to have it trackable and measurable, and we can all be a part of that together.
As we wrap up today's episode, what's one thought you would like to leave us with?
I want you guys, if you've struggled with your health, with your weight, and I've talked a lot about weight, but we're really talking about getting healthy, like Michael mentioned earlier. If you struggled with that, I just want you to know that it can be done. You can reclaim your health. You can rehabilitate your lifestyle like me. And it's not going to be easy. It may be the hardest thing that you ever do in your entire life. But my friend, you're worth it. That's the thing that you have to keep in mind, is that you are worth it.
Adam, it's been so fun. And I appreciate the inspiration you've given to our listeners. I appreciate the risk that you took by finding a way to find a true mission, a true purpose that has pushed you into a direction that's changed your life, but now is impacting so many others around you. Thank you so much for doing that. And thanks for being a guest on the podcast.
Michael, thank you so much. I am just so thrilled to be able to share your audience and speak my message. And anytime I guest on a podcast, it's my goal. It's another mission I have, is to make my episode the most downloaded, most popular episode. So I want you guys to do two things for me. If I was able to inspire you even just one tiny little bit, if you got one little thing from what I said here today, I want you to go and I want you to subscribe to this podcast. I want you to leave a review. If you can do those two things for me, I promise you that good things will be coming your way. I will send the positive mojo your direction. You'll be paying it forward. And that's my one ask of you guys today.
Thanks so much. It's been a lot of fun. We wish you the best in everything that you do.
Thank you very much.
Once again, we want to thank Adam Schaeuble for taking time out to share his story. You can find links to all of his social channels and his website in the episode notes of today's episode. On Thursday, we have another incredible guest, Doug Sandler. Make sure to swing back and check out that episode this Thursday. Thanks again for tuning into today's episode. It means the world to us that you would listen. I want to encourage you, get out there and do something, anything, something small, something big, but anything to move that dream or idea that you have forward. The world needs you more than ever, and we want you to see that dream, that big idea come to reality. So make that step and start moving it forward. Until next time, thanks again for listening to the Jumble Think Podcast.
Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.